From Melbourne to Madrid, episode 8. Here we go. The whole world in the palm of our hands. Just like that, Luis. And
That's simple.
that's simple. And if only we could squeeze the world as well, just like that. Just like a stress ball. Well, that's what it is. It's a stress ball. So if we get stressed, you just squeeze the whole world, just ruin it. Just like
Just
that.
tore it all apart.
Yeah. But there's a lot to talk about. I guess we'll start
Yeah, a
off
lot to
with
catch up on. It's been a
a lot to
while.
catch up on. Yes. Felix, our last guest, like before we did the recording, that was like one of the last things we mentioned, the fact that he's equaled the world record again. I congratulated him on that. It's crazy, isn't it? To think that he can keep on breaking records, and in this case, he equaled a record. So
Oh, I thought he broke it, so he equaled it. He's
yeah,
still, no, he's still very good nonetheless. I just like, I wish I could see that live, something like that, because it's like you wouldn't, but like on the video for me, it just seems like he's not actually doing it that fast for me. That just on the video, it doesn't look like he's actually done it in 4 seconds. But if you're there, you're probably like, what? Like in the blink of an eye, he's already completed it. It's just insane.
he makes it look so easy. Like it's just
Yeah.
like a few seconds and it's done. Whereas like some people can't even complete a Rubik's cube. Like like myself, like I haven't really put the effort
I'm,
in.
I'm with you.
He can just do about anything, Felix. He can. He's a
Probably.
Rubik's cube genius.
Bloody hell. It's
Do
crazy.
you remember that piece of advice you gave him, like at the start of our last episode? It was it was funny because I introduced you as like the Rubik's cube champion or something, and then you were like, I was like, so do you have any advice for Felix? And then he was like,
Yeah.
oh, you're like, don't stress, otherwise you'll lose the cube, mate.
Yeah. I didn't remember that, but if I said that, I stand by that because
Yeah.
you have to be composed. Like I wouldn't be able. I wasn't even composed to buy U2 tickets, let alone complete a Rubik cube. Okay. For
I'll
those who
tell
don't
you,
know,
I'll
I
tell
got
you,
tickets to U2 and I was like
yeah.
shaking.
I tell you what,
As I was going up.
you must have been quick because there must have been a high demand to see you two in Madrid.
Oh, it's crazy. It is insane. Like it's like, and then I don't know. My mom comes and asks me like, oh, why is it so expensive? I don't think it's even that expensive. The problem is when they go on sale afterwards again.
Mm.
But initially, I don't think they were that expensive. But you can't put into. I don't think even if you try to imagine the magnitude of a band like that, it's still got millions of, well, billions of fans, not even millions. So yeah, it was hard. But I kept pressing F5, just refreshing the page over and over again, literally, and I got them. I can't wait.
Wow. So did you get it on a pre-sale or did you get it like on the day type thing?
No, well, no, I mean I got it on pre-sale, but for the second, so what they do basically is it's all marketing skills. It doesn't really surprise me anymore. But what they do is they announce one date, then once they sell out their first concert, they announce a second concert, and so on. And so I missed out on the first one, but on the pre-sale of the second concert, I got them. But bloody hell! And then today they went on sale for like the general public, and if they go out at like 10 a.m. local time here at 10:01, they were gone already. It's like, oh my god, I feel so sorry now for people who like wanted to come maybe and see them. They might announce a third concert, you never know. But so much demand. It's
Yeah,
hard to put into perspective.
yeah. I mean that's what they tend to do though, isn't it? Like if the demand is really high, they do put out that third, fourth concert. Like I mean Ed Sheeran in Australia I think did that. I think even Coldplay might have done it in Australia. So I mean, it's good marketing tactics. Like if the demand is high, I I guess it puts pressure on the performer though as well. Like I remember seeing Bono after Glastonbury, and his voice, like deteriorated in the sense because he put a lot of effort into that Glastonbury concert, and in that interview you could see like his voice was a little bit croaky, a little bit lowered. So there's the fan aspect of, high demand, giving the fans what they want, but then there's that performer thing where you feel for the performer. Obviously, they're getting good money, they're getting paid well, but even Sam Smith, I think, had a kind of like a throat, issue. So that's one thing that gets me. I don't like to see artists always do concerts like just for their own. I mean, who am I to talk? I don't really like know about, but a concert is a concert, so they need a decent break because you see a lot of artists sometimes they come on after 1 or 2 days break. Like, is it enough? Yeah.
No, I mean, totally understand. I guess it's just how there are different techniques, right? So obviously you should have probably a few days break, but also if you notice, they prepare like different versions of a song to play them live so that it kind of they sound just as good but maybe lower the tone, like the melody not as high on the live performance, those kind of things. But I mean, yeah, it's very demanding. I mean, I get that, but I don't know. I still think it's worth it. Like, I mean, you just have to find a balance. But to do what they do, honestly, just travel the world playing. I mean, I think it's an awesome job.
Oh yeah, you can't get much better than that. Like doing what you love and playing to fans, and I know how much you like going to music concerts as well. And is this the first time you're seeing U2?
Yeah, yeah, first time ever.
Wow.
Their album is actually quite good, Songs of Experience, but they're gonna play like a lot of songs. But last album I really like as well.
Was that the one with the song? Yeah, Every Breaking Wave and Joey
No,
Ramone. Or was that the second last album?
that was a second last. That was Songs of Innocence, and last one is Songs of Experience.
Which one's better?
I mean, they're kind of different. All of the albums have good songs in them, a lot of them. So I don't know. I'm gonna split it half half now.
Yeah, do you remember that time where U2 did that tactic where if you went on your iPhone on a recent day, all of a sudden their music appeared on your iPhone and you're like, how did this happen? Because they did a strategy where I think it was the second last album where their music was kind of automatically ingrained into your iPhone for free.
Oh yeah, I think that happened to me as well. Maybe with one
Yeah.
song, but I don't know. I mean, the singers and all that, they've got nothing to do with all this. So it's just they have a huge team behind them, marketing and managers, all that stuff.
Mm.
So that's what kind of maybe annoys me sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I don't think my ticket was expensive. It's just it's when it's after they go on sale that people resell them. That's when they get so expensive. And that shouldn't be allowed, in my opinion. But it still happens, which is a shame. But guess it didn't happen to me, luckily.
Yeah. So you just got it, and the seats are good, I would imagine, or
It's actually on the like floor, like right on the like next to the it's like where the band will play and stuff, like floor level, ground level.
okay.
And yeah, so even better, I think. Seating depends, like the concert. Like you don't know this, but I'm seeing Bob Dylan as well,
Wow.
and yeah, I'm sitting for that one. But U2 is standing at ground level. So, well, I don't know. So many like artists I want to see. It's crazy. Like I'm honestly like I have a serious addiction, like a bad. I'm not. I think it's a good addiction,
Mm.
but my mom's like, "Do you really like that many artists?" I'm like, "Yeah, sorry."
It's like
What can
ticking
you
off a
do?
bucket list. Seeing U2, seeing
Oh,
Coldplay, seeing Bob Dylan.
and then you want to see them again.
Yeah, so you've got 2 boxes to tick off, yeah, for
No,
each artist.
because you know who else is coming?
Who?
Nickelback.
Oh, that's a great band.
But I need to try and find someone to go with. Fly over.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that if that ever happens. Um, but so you've got 2 tickets, is that, and you don't know who you're going with?
No, not like Nickelback. I haven't bought tickets. I still could because like they
Oh,
haven't sold out, but I haven't found anyone to go with yet.
well, from Melbourne to Madrid listeners, 1 ticket to see Nickelback with Luis Andres Marino. Accommodation at at his place. No, but
I can offer accommodation, but you pay your own ticket. Simply.
that's all right.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
broke, honestly. But
well, I mean the ticket prices are high, but I mean that's just you said actually that they're reasonable.
I think they're reasonable. The problem is for a person like myself who like so many artists, you start to add up and you go broke. But I sort of understand the prices in some ways because people don't buy albums as much anymore.
Yeah,
You have Spotify, right? So you use music platforms now more than you know. Yeah, like I pay €3 a month for Spotify. Like that's nothing, and I get all
that's
these
good.
songs. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's worth it. So in a way, I understand the ticket prices. It's when they resell the tickets that's just unacceptable, and they need to control that somehow. But anyway,
yeah. So, how many dollars? I'm gonna convert it via currency. How many around about how many euros was the U2 ticket?
80.
All right, 80 euros. So that's the equivalent of 125 Australian dollars. You know what? That's not that's actually quite, yeah, that's quite reasonable considering that U2 only come, a certain amount of times. They're
Yeah,
not as
another
active as they once were.
last time they came into Madrid was 13 years ago.
Oh, there you
So
go. Yeah.
I just can't wait, dude. You're gonna be there in spirit.
When I think of the country of Ireland, there's 2 names that come to mind: Bono and McGregor. And
Good
you
names.
know, yeah, the Ireland, they're doing Ireland proud. So that's all you can want, really. A rocking band and a rocking fighter. What more? You know what would be really Irish? It would be if McGregor walked out to a U2 song. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's see they haven't really thought about that yet. I mean, maybe McGregor doesn't like or isn't prefers other style of music, but I mean, U2 is Irish, and and McGregor's a very proud Irishman, so technically, why not?
Yeah. What do you reckon? I don't know if you've seen all this speculation and innuendo. I think it's rubbish, but
Well, I
for,
mentioned you, so yeah, I have.
yeah. Well, hang on. Is it what are you referring to though?
Mayweather entering the octagon.
Yes. Yeah. That was the one I was about to bring up. Yeah. Uh, you
I
reckon
just
it's
think he's.
rubbish?
I just think Mayweather is a clown. Um, it's not an original quote. A lot of people say that, but no, I can't see it to be honest. Um, I think, and like with the boxing fight, no one expected McGregor to win anyway. I just think it was a smart move by him because he's quadrupled his net worth, as he said, and that's it. It's done and dusted, to be honest. Um, and it's just, I think honestly that there must be way better fighters out there to compete with McGregor than even there must be even better boxers than Mayweather that would do better in an octagon. But because it's Mayweather and he's got such a big name, I'm not surprised that McGregor, maybe wants another shot because uh, the audience would be massive. But happens with everything, dude. Like wherever the money is, that's where most of the talent often goes to. Like in football, right? Soccer. So it happens in a lot of sports.
Yeah, I think football, I mean, well, money in general can sway a lot of suitors in a lot of codes, not just in fighting. I think we've covered that Mayweather McGregor topic, so we'll move on from that. Um, yeah. So how about we'll move on to football actually, because it was a nice segue there. So football or soccer, whatever country you're from. In Australia, it's generally referred to as soccer. In Madrid, it's referred to as football. But
Football.
football is the proper way to say it. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards saying football, especially it depends because in Australia, AFL, Australian Football League, is football. So it depends who you're talking to. If I'm talking to someone who knows soccer quite well, I might say
Oh, but then people in New South Wales call rugby league football.
yeah,
I
bloody hell.
remember that. Bloody hell. Trying to confuse us.
Yeah, so many. But well, then you have the NFL, right, in America, and
Basically,
it's
all of you just stole our turn because the first ever football was our football. So
well, it's good. You know, if you can't beat them, join them, and you know, taking over the word, taking over the world, and football is all over the globe, as I say.
well,
But
World Cup this year, dude. Crazy again. Feels
bloody
like
hell.
yesterday.
That's going to be interesting. There's some English fans are getting some high hopes because they've got a relatively easy group draw, England, in the World Cup. I mean, the English fans are screaming out for a really successful World Cup because they haven't really had a successful tournament in a while. So
Decades.
yeah. Um, what do you reckon of Spain's World Cup group? Are they playing Portugal?
Portugal, Iran, and I'm not going to remember the last one. But anyway, my initial thought when I saw it was that either first or second. No, I mean like we just have to make it through. But I'm just like very sort of I don't know. I don't even know what to expect anymore. Sometimes
Why is
in
that?
football in gen. Well, because players go through patches of wow, we're like unbeatable, unstoppable, and stuff, and then the next minute they suck, or they just can't play as a team, and that happened to us. Spain, we won 2 Euros and a World Cup in a row, which is
Mm.
very easy to say. Um, and yeah, we've just like the 2014 World Cup was. I don't think it couldn't have gotten any worse, to be honest. But we'll see what it's like this year. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Well, like what expect in terms of expectations, right? We should go through, but then again, you don't know what's going to happen in football. That's just the reality. Like anything can happen now.
Yeah.
Now, I think that, like the sport itself is getting a lot more competitive. Just everything in general. Like you're seeing teams right across European leagues that weren't there maybe a few years ago, and now they look what like Everton have struggled at the beginning. Now they're picking themselves up again. But other teams like Burnley, like they were in the top 10 for more than half of the season.
mm.
That wasn't, who would have thought of that a few years ago? So those kind of things. That's why I'm a bit, sort of, um, yeah, not expecting a great deal. Let's just wait and see what happens.
I'm having a look at your group draw here, and I think first or second is very doable. I don't see you finishing third at all because you've got yourselves, Portugal, Iran, and then you've got Morocco, which isn't a bad football
Yeah.
side, but not in the league of Spain and Portugal. I think Mahrez plays for Morocco, maybe. Uh,
Albania, Algeria. Sorry, one of them.
oh yeah, yeah, that is
Yeah.
correct. I must be thinking of something else. Yeah.
No, but what I mean is just attitude from the players more than anything. I just think um, again because I tell you what is affecting a lot is because there's so much money in the game now.
Mm.
A lot of players sort of like don't turn up until they probably get what they demand. like Riyad Mahrez, for instance, now like he was expected to, or everyone thought that he was gonna, like a big club was gonna sign him this January transfer window. Leicester have kept him. Like how are you gonna motivate a player like that now, who asked for a transfer request? Those are the kind of things I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, this was, heavily debated. I don't know if you saw it, Lewis. You probably did. There was Rio Ferdinand, who's an awesome football pundit. I really like him. He was talking about the incentive for young players coming through and the idea that they're getting so much money for little amounts of game time and what that does from a motivational perspective of needing to earn it. Like, for instance, Musonda from, Chelsea, like, not playing that much, getting so much money. And, it's just sometimes, it's good for the game because it's money generated. It does well from a corporate setting and whatever. But, there's also that issue of, players not getting a lot of game time and they're getting astronomical amounts of money.
I
And
just
do
think,
they
yeah,
deserve it?
I just think that's down to the clubs though. Like, because in a way, I understand why Leicester didn't let Mahrez leave. Um, because as a player, you have to realize when you sign a contract, you're committing yourself to that club. You
Mm.
can't just sign a contract and then, like 6 months later, ask, you know, for a transfer request. Like to me, that just doesn't make any sense. I don't know if it
Coutinho.
does. Not just Coutinho. Like, yeah, well, a lot of players in general. Like, yeah, yeah, Coutinho is a great example, right? Like, I've sort of disliked him in a way for that because he could have made. I think he could have even just gone to Barcelona earlier. I think, but yeah, he was offered a lot more money at Liverpool, signed on, but then yeah, like this last since last summer, European summer, he wanted out. So I don't know. I honestly think it's more on the clubs to blame because at the end of the day, it's your decision whether you keep a player, whether you want to keep a player at your club unhappy or releasing and letting go. Like I'd rather have players that are happy and productive than players who are not going to play. Like Riyad Mahrez going to play now? I mean,
Well,
he probably might because
yeah.
he'll need game time, playing time for the world. Well, is his country in the World Cup? I'm not 100% sure about that. But
Not not sure.
yeah, well, if he doesn't play, people are going to forget about him. I mean, I don't think people will forget Mahrez that quickly. But like I think Leicester should have let him go. They were being offered like 60, 70 million pounds. Like if a club like Leicester should have taken that, but
Who offered the money?
Man City really wanted him. But then yeah, in a way, I understand why you wouldn't sell to Man City because honestly, who else do they need? Like Man City, at this rate, they're going to buy the other 19 clubs in the Premier League and
Mm.
we'll just have 20 Manchester Cities in the Premier League and they can win it every year because the money, the spending power they have, bloody hell. But anyway,
Well, they were thinking about getting Alexis Sanchez, and then Arsenal could have sold him on for double the amount they received from Man U. Man U did a player swap, but they bought Henrik Mkhitaryan for 35. Man U got Alexis Sanchez for, I think it was about the same amount of money, but then there's agent fees and whatever. So that's another complicated aspect on top of whatever. I mean, you know, Arsenal could have got more if they had have sold Alexis Sanchez to Man City at the start.
I
You
think
know what I
it's just,
mean?
yeah, but for a club like Arsenal to let a contract run down, um, like expire is not, it's just a joke to be honest. Like, because you're losing so much money on him. Like, when a club signs a player, right? Firstly, you don't really want to sign the player for a year. You want to sign him for 4 or 5 years, and then when they have, I'd say, about 2 years left on their contract, that's when you either look to sell the player because he's still got good market value, because he's still got 2 years left on his current contract, or you offer him a new one, but you don't let it run down, which is what they've done. So I just, I'm surprised they got Aubameyang though. Like, does he really want to play for them? Because I can't see them making Champions League, to be honest. But we'll see.
Well,
We'll see
that's the
what
thing.
happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aubameyang's a good fit for Arsenal, but because they're not really, I mean, their best hope of making the Champions League is most likely the Europa League. Making the top four seems unlikely at this
Yeah,
stage.
they're just not a serious club at the moment. There's no other really way of putting it. They've shipped out a lot of quality players over the years. Van Persie to United, Alex Song, Fabregas, Nasri, and
Mm.
they haven't replaced them. Well, or they have, but their teams have gotten smaller. They're more sort of technical players. You don't have a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, Bakary
A Patrick
Sagna as
Vieira,
well.
yeah, a
Sagna is
Patrick Vieira, yeah, Sanya. They just
Clichy. Clichy
It's
used
so
to,
yeah,
yeah.
it's just so sad. It's so sad. Like they used to be the Invincibles, and even the Invincibles, I think they underachieved. Like, how can a club like Arsenal not have won a Champions League yet?
Mm.
But yeah, I just feel sort of like sorry for the fans. But because dude, like when you're a ticket holder of clubs like this magnitude, it just hurts a lot because if you give up the ticket, like bye bye, like there's no way you're getting it back. It's like with concerts, all this stuff. Like there's so much demand for the next person in line waiting for that ticket that if you give it up, then So you're paying to because you're like I don't want to lose it, but I'm paying to watch you know bad performances week in week out or inconsistency because that's what Arsenal is. They're inconsistent. That's their biggest problem.
Yeah, that inconsistency really kills, especially against, the bigger teams. When I mean, Man City's just racing away with the title. Man United recently lost to Tottenham, so I think that pretty much seals City's victory in the EPL. But as a Man United supporter, I've been happy with our progress. Like even with Louis van Gaal, he won an FA Cup, and the one thing that he did do, which helped Jose Mourinho, is that he brought in the younger players like Rashford that really transferred over to Jose Mourinho's side. So I think LVG should get some more credit than Man U supporters otherwise give him. But Fosu
It's just
Mensah as well.
yeah, that's just down to the media though. Like media focus on results, and they weren't. I knew Rashford was gonna like pick it up. After Van Gaal left, it was obvious. Like he was like he spotted a young talent and gave him an opportunity, and look where he is now. Part of the first team, playing could still play more minutes, but when you have the presence of Ibra and Lukaku, it's not easy. But yeah, look, the thing about the Premier League is like you can win the league, but yeah, it's like Leicester will go down in the history books because it was their first league title and all that, and it was unexpected. They were 5,000 to 1 to win the league. It's just incredible. But a club like Man City, winning one Premier League is not going to make them great. They have to, if they want to, get anywhere near the size and success of clubs like United, Liverpool, all that. You have to do it, year in, year out. So that's the challenge for them. That's the next step because they talk, they have big mouths and they're enjoying it right now. But it's always harder to retain the title than to actually win it, isn't it? I mean, look at
Mm.
Chelsea. So they've been disappointing.
Well, Chelsea got Morata from Real Madrid, I think,
Mm.
and they've recently brought in Giroud from Arsenal, and they were looking at Andy Carroll as well before, but then he got injured. So they've been really looking for that. Morata hasn't been the best for Chelsea, so Giroud has actually been in good form. Like when he has played for Arsenal, it's just because Lacazette, that huge signing, and even Lacazette. I mean, he's been taken off towards the latter stages to give Giroud time. You know, how are Arsenal going to front up? With the Mkhitaryan addition as well. They go, Aubameyang on the wing, or because they need to fit
Nah,
Lacazette and Aubameyang in the same side.
I would play a 4-4-2. Honestly, like a 4-4-2 or
But is that
3-5-2.
like Arsenal though to play two strikers up front? I don't think that's really in Wenger's kind of repertoire.
He's gonna have to either that or Ozil in the middle behind Aubameyang, and then like I said, a Mkhitaryan one on each wing on a 4-3. But yeah, I think you have to play all four of them
Yeah.
now that you have them. Otherwise, fans are not really gonna get it otherwise. But yeah, no, just with everything, dude, everything makes you forces you, like all the sort of factors make you play those players because the money you've spent, they're top quality. So we'll see. But for me, they're just a laughing stock. Arsenal, they have been for the past sort of 10 years. So it just doesn't surprise me, dude. Like in sports, especially, I think. Well, in all businesses, right? But sports is definitely one of them. If you stand still, like just other teams are gonna overtake you. And Arsenal have stood still for a few years, I think.
But they've done well at the same time in the sense that even though not in that EPL, really strong tournament since Champions League, they've won a few FA Cups, and I'm actually a huge fan of Arsene Wenger. Like he's one of my favorite managers up there with Jose Mourinho.
But he's ruining his own legacy now. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. He's just. The thing is, when you're so successful at the start, right? There's nothing you can do about people, uh, you know, making those achievements as their normal expectations now. Because when you get used to success, right? That's the next sort of. You've gotten yourself to a new level, and people expect that from you. And he just hasn't achieved it because dude, FA Cup is not what it used to be, right? Unfortunately, all the money is in the league and the Champions League, and they just haven't done it there. It's a shame, but there's no other way of putting it. Same with Liverpool, right? Don't get me wrong, and other clubs, but the thing with Arsenal is that they don't sack their manager, and I'm not a fan of sacking managers every year or every 6 months, obviously, but Arsene Wenger's been there now for a long time. And it's just a shame, really, for me. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's interesting, like in general. I mean, the Claudio Ranieri sacking was a bit.
No, that was
sus.
disrespectful. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
No, well,
even though
that's what I mean. Like, I would have. I mean, it's proof to be the right decision, though. Credit where it's due. But yeah, that was kind of like a nasty and ugly move by the owners. But no, I just don't get it with Arsenal because they're a top four club, dude. Like they have won a lot. It's not like they've never won the Champions League, but they've won every other major trophy there is, and plenty of times. So that's why people are just frustrated, understandably so. And they have the most expensive tickets in the league. I don't think you can blame the fans really for demanding what they, you know, what they get promised and what they expect.
So their fans have to pay more than Manchester City fans or Man United fans or Chelsea fans. Is that
for a match day ticket? Yeah.
Wow. I never knew that. That's incredible.
Arsenal makes a lot of revenue, believe it or not. So it's just it's
But
just
that's
like
ripping off. That's ripping off the fans, though. Considering the level of success that they're having, why would they charge their
exactly that.
fans more?
Well, that's why that's why they're all so frustrated in general because if you're gonna make them commit a lot more money than maybe other clubs in the league, then you have to uh, reward them for that effort, financial effort that they put in. So yeah, again, I feel sorry for the fans, but I think it's a lot of it is related with the owner apparently. So he's not one of those owners that really loves the sport, and that's killed them. That's killing them, I think, because you have an owner that actually cares about the club, then you can sort of tell, right? That he's passionate about it, that he wants the club to win, and apparently the Arsenal owner isn't in that same mindset.
Well, yeah, that really kills, especially when it comes to transfers, doesn't it? Because apart from Arsenal's been quite active in this transfer window because they've had to be
Yeah, but they
active.
haven't.
Like if they were
Yeah,
inactive, Alexis Sanchez would have gone for free. That would have been disastrous.
but they haven't
Um,
fixed their problems really. I mean, defensively they're a mess.
yeah, Mertesack's retiring. Well, Mertesacker hasn't been good for a while now, but you've got
Just
Lauren. Yeah.
all of them have been bad, to be honest.
Do you rate Hector Bellerin? Because one of the things that I heard from I don't know if you follow this YouTuber, but he's a passionate Arsenal supporter. He's really good with like FIFA YouTubing. He's Matt MGH. Have you heard of him? Matt MGH.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, something that he said. It doesn't matter if you don't know. He's basically said with Hector Bellerin that one of his issues is he's really good with running and whatever, but his crossing is not that good. And he doesn't like Alex Iwobi that much. He thinks he's not on the level required. But Jack Wilshere has made a really good revival from his injuries. That's been one positive story for Arsenal. He's been awesome.
Thing with Bellerin is, well, first of all, I think he will end up at Barcelona sooner or later.
Well, he was
Um,
originally from there, wasn't he?
yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years, because Sergio Roberto has adapted well to fullback, but initially he was a defensive midfielder. Um,
They've got Semendo as
but
well.
hmm?
Semendo from the
Yeah,
Port.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I just think Bellerin is a top player, so it wouldn't surprise me if, firstly, he wants to go to Barcelona, because players have a lot of power. Look at Coutinho; he wanted to move, and yeah, maybe Barcelona were going for it. But for me, with Bellerin again, I think it's just the attitude. Like sometimes he just doesn't turn up, and yeah, what you said about Iwobi, I probably believe that. Um, although when you say those, I don't think Bellerin's said that in public. But just for them to have those rumors circulate even though they haven't said it out in public for fans and stuff, like to have those rumors, it just doesn't help because players hear about it. Players are not stupid, and players are on social media, and yeah, they just don't look like a team. They haven't for a while again. Just it's just some people think it's harsh when they criticize the current Arsenal players, but dude, when you wear that shirt, you have to think about all the players that have played there in the past. And if you're not mentally prepared for that, then don't sign for the club. You know what I mean? But like, whether you like it or not, Thierry Henry has been there, Bergkamp, all these amazing players, and you have to assume that people are going to expect you to not be like them because they're irreplaceable, right? But they expect high level, and some players, for one reason or another, they just don't match it.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify, yeah, Hector Bellerin didn't say Iwobi's not on the level. Like, I was, I
No, but
was, I was referring to
I,
MGH. Yeah,
I believe that he might think that though, although that there might be disputes in between. It does happen in teams.
yeah,
So it won't be. I don't know. They need more depth as well. Arsenal sometimes they bring in these sort of young players, which I believe you have to give him a chance, right? But in the right games, you can't put a young player. Didn't they play a young player in a really big game? Wasn't against Man. I'm making this up a bit, but I remember them playing, like a young kid in a massive game.
Are
Um,
you referring to
or
Maitland Niles?
yeah,
Or
maybe one of those. Yeah, and you're putting too much pressure on the kid. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you have to play them in those games when you think they are ready, not in their first game. Those things.
Yeah, look, one of their, you know how they got eliminated. I know you said the FA Cup isn't like the best in terms of like it's
Oh,
not
it's
what it
just
once was, but
yeah. I
when
wish it
Arsenal,
was.
yeah, but when Arsenal got eliminated, their starting squad was shocking. I'm gonna try and see if if I can get it up. Who do they? I think they might have lost to.
Not in Forest.
Oh, they lost to Nottingham. Okay, I want to get their starting lineup because I didn't think it was very good at all. Even despite the fact that the FA Cup is not what it once was, and they were versing Nottingham Forest. It
I mean, you're
wasn't a
still
bit.
versing. Yeah, I mean, you're playing a championship side, but for those who don't know, Nottingham Forest are a two-time European Champions League winners. So I just thought it was disrespect. When I saw that lineup, I'm like, really? They don't, no, yeah, they left. They didn't even put Alexis or Ozil on the bench
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
cover.
Okay, let
It
me
was,
read this.
yeah,
I've got the starting squad here. 4-2-3-1. Goalkeeper David Ospina. Right back Debuchy, which he hasn't been. I don't know why he hasn't
playing.
left Arsenal. Per
Well,
Mertesacker.
he has now.
Oh, he has. Where has he moved to?
Yeah, I believe Newcastle. I believe.
He used to play there, didn't he, Debuchy?
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me if he's gone back. But yeah, well,
Uh, yeah,
yeah, I'm
Saint
sure he's left.
Etienne. Saint
Yeah, Saint
Etienne.
Etienne, yeah, French league.
Yeah. Um. Okay, so sometimes on the phone it's I've clicked out because as I was searching for Debuchy's club, I clicked out of the squad. Oh, it doesn't matter, but it was not basically. Yeah, they didn't have what you said. Alexis Sanchez on the bench, and um, Walcott, who's moved, he's gone to Everton. One question I want to ask you is: do you think Aubameyang is world class? Like, do you think he's that amazing player that Arsenal is screaming out for? How do you rate him as a player?
Well, his pace is electric, so that's going to help, and that's going to scare defenders.
It's going to suit the league, isn't
Um,
it?
oh yeah, he's definitely suited to the league. Um, I think he suits them well. I think he can do just about everything. Maybe he's not a huge physical presence, even though he can header the ball. He's a bit skinny,
Mm.
but yeah, he can do everything really. I mean, he scored against us in the group stages, so Real Madrid that is. But yeah, for Arsenal, they just haven't addressed the issues at the back, and that's where you're not gonna outscore every team every week, right? You can't win games 4-3 every week. So that's for me where I think they're just gonna they just great signing. Don't get me wrong, but like the problems are still there. You know what I mean? Because going forward, they've never been that bad. It's like they got rid of Theo Walcott, and he scored over 100 goals in, wasn't it, nearly or over 300 appearances. That's not a bad game to goal ratio.
Mm.
So attacking, Arsenal have always been a good attacking team. It's just defensively they always seem to screw it up.
Yeah, I think it's a tale of two halves. You have one attacking team which is really good. I mean, when they had Sanchez, Lacazette, Özil, pretty good front three. But then the back, it's
They,
where
they, they, they've just always had good attacking play. I've never really questioned them going forward. Is again when they're going backward, going to their own goal. They just they. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with them.
Do you think a change of manager is necessary? It's about time.
I mean, look, if I was because I'm not, because I'm an outsider, and Arsenal is not really my club. I sort of understand that Arsene Wenger deserves maybe he should go whenever and stuff and get an homage and all sorts of credit. But if I was a ticket holder or like a true fan, I would have been screaming for him to go a few years ago now. Because yeah, he's just look at their finishing positions on the table. It's just going from bad to worse, isn't it? It looks like they're going to finish behind Tottenham again, which is like the ultimate embarrassment for them. Because if anything, Arsenal could brag about for the last sort of 5, 6 years, or whenever they fail, right? Whenever they don't win a trophy, because their rival is Tottenham. At least they have that to sort of cheer about. But Tottenham are looking, they've got the new stadium next year. They signed Lucas Moura. I mean, from PSG. I mean, they need to be like really careful, Arsenal, because they've already Tottenham's already flipped it, but this could happen. A long term effect if they do nothing about it. So for me, yeah, I mean, and I think look, it's a great job to take, right? Another thing about Arsene Wenger is I think the longer he stays and the longer the club, you know, gets damaged with bad results and all that, the harder it's going to be for the new manager to come in because he's going to have such an impossible job to rebuild.
Hmm.
It's the same with not. It's like with Sir Alex, right? Although he left on a high, but look how hard it's been and it is to replace him. So the same with Arsene Wenger. I think just the longer he stays, it's just going to be, yeah. It was going to be hard anyway, right? Whenever he leaves, but I don't know. I would like to see him look, even if it's another FA Cup. I think when those these last few years that they've won the FA Cup, he should have left in one of them. Just leave on a high with the trophy. Would have been like a nice ending.
Yeah, but now it might be taken out of his hands. Maybe the owners are going to act, but they haven't acted, or not the owners. Like, well, whose decision is it when it comes to sacking the club? Like, owners obviously would have a say, but it also comes down to what, the chief executive, or I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, but thing is, Arsene Wenger is one of these managers, rare managers that has so much power within a club. If you think about it, Mourinho never really had power at Chelsea. Conte doesn't have power at Chelsea. It's all the board and Abramovich. Um, Hence, Conte isn't that happy because when you think about it, he wanted Arturo Vidal and got Bakayoko instead. He wanted other Italian players and got Ross Barkley, so he's not happy. But you look at Arsene Wenger, he's happy. Like he's not happy with the media and the criticism, but he knows that he's safe because he runs that football club just about. Like he makes so many decisions there. So it depends on the
Well, yeah,
club.
well, definitely depends on the club. Now, can you tell me what exactly is going on with Real Madrid? They're languishing in, I think, fourth position at the moment in La Liga BBVA. There's been
Yeah.
tough times recently. I'll be back in half a minute, but if you could just explain to the listeners, I'll be back in a second, what exactly is going on with Real Madrid?
Oh, it's like a Spanish Arsenal, to be honest. It's lack of attitude. Um, I think maybe we should have signed a few, but we brought in like young players like Mateo and Mateo Kovacic. Yeah, he's done all right. But Teo Hernandez, um, Marco Llorente has been all right. But no, we just haven't signed that many players. I don't think, and we're paying the price now. But we still have the Champions League to play for and against PSG. So we'll see what happens. But look, I think unlike Arsenal, right? I can sort of forgive Real because we have won 3 of the last 4 Champions Leagues, which is an amazing achievement. So yeah, I think it's a little slip up. We'll be fine.
See, that's a nice way of looking at it, because if you look at it the way the media is looking at it in Spain, or just what I read in general, because get news outlets from all over the place. Well, mainly probably English from what I'm reading, but um, it's like there's a lot of doom and gloom in Real Madrid. But like what you said, I mean, you look at the past record, Real Madrid have done really well. So
I
I
mean, it's
think,
not like it's not like you can forgive them for their performances, right? Because they get paid a lot of money.
mm,
But you have to understand that, yeah, they have accomplished a lot. Um, but it's when they become Arsenal, a club like Arsenal, that it becomes unacceptable, right? When it's so many inconsistent performances, players not giving it their all. Um, but look, I'm still confident. We've got PSG in the Champions League. I'm looking forward to that because I would love nothing more than for Neymar to go home early in the knockout stages. Because no, this is the thing. The media, when Neymar signed, the media were all like on the tabloids and stuff. Oh, PSG easily going to make the final or semi-finals, and now they've got Real Madrid in the round of 16. So be afraid, PSG, because in the Champions League we're a different beast, and everyone knows that.
oh yeah, the history Real Madrid have there, no one can question it. Back to when Raul was playing, it's just a legendary club with a legendary history. But
We've always been sort of a cup team.
yeah,
In a way, I'm not hugely disappointed about the league because I was expecting it. We've never been great consistently in the league. Not that it's acceptable, but historically we've just been a cup team. And even though that Spanish Cup loss to Leganés was a bit of an embarrassment, we didn't play a strong team either. So we bottled it. We bottled it like Arsenal in the FA Cup. But it's just, yeah, for us it's always been the Champions League. It's just what you associate the club with. I mean, obviously there's 32 league titles and all those other titles, but no other club has won the Champions League that many times, and that's what makes it such a special club.
yeah, I mean that's the holy grail, isn't it? The Champions League, because you have the elite teams from all over Europe contesting it out. You would get more money from the Champions League than money from La Liga, even though that would
I
be a
mean,
lot as well.
yeah, I mean the Premier League gets a lot of money nowadays. Don't get me wrong, but
Have you seen the
it's just
TV deal for the Premier League? Like, it's ridiculous. I think we're talking billions of dollars.
yeah, and people still dare to say that the Spanish league is the best league in the world. It's like, how on earth can you think that when the revenue the English Premier League makes, the average net spend for per club in the Premier League last summer was 65 million pounds. So on average, you're on average. So basically, Crystal Palace, all these clubs now, they're spending big as well. It's just,
Wow.
I
Yeah,
love it. I think it's just great because it's capitalism, and then you share the wealth. It's only
it's
going to make
good.
improve the league.
Exactly. Yeah, and do you reckon in La Liga that that there's more teams kind of coming on the rise, like Atletico Madrid, or do you reckon it's stayed the same a little bit with Real Madrid and
I
Barca?
think teams are far more on the rise in the Premier League than any other European league. Um, Atletico has always been there, right? But new stadium, all that, so they've improved the past few years. Valencia looks like they're on their way up again. I like their manager,
Mm.
Marcelino. Always have. Sevilla have slipped up a little bit. For me, it's sad because all these clubs should be higher than sort of they should just be doing better than what they are. I think partly the reason Madrid and Barcelona achieve so much is because these clubs underachieve. For me, I think they should demand a lot more than what they get. But yeah, obviously it's easier said than done. But these clubs used to win a lot in Spain back then as well. Athletic Bilbao as well. Um, nah, it's just I don't know what's wrong with these teams sometimes. But yeah, I guess it's all patches, isn't it, of good and bad form. Again, Valencia are doing quite well this season. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I mean, and even if you go into something like the German league, like that's been a really exciting league. With the rise of RB Leipzig, Schalke as well doing
Yeah,
well.
I just think in Spain that's very hard for a small club to still to sort of achieve that. Although they have
Mm.
no pressure, don't get me wrong, but financially they're not on the levels of Leicester. These clubs, like these clubs, honestly, in the Premier League, you would associate small clubs. They're not small anymore. Like they're just spending so much. You're like, where did they get that from? Well, Leicester obviously got it from their Champions League revenue. Um, Premier, just yeah, that story for me was just amazing. Like I think football won that year, not just Leicester, like the whole sport in general, because it proved so many things, wrong.
Yeah, so I think that when Leicester won it, that was like a fairy tale kind of finish. Like even
Mm.
though the EPL, that you have quite a few suitors for the Premier League, no one thought Leicester. There was that relegation. People think they were going to be relegated. So I mean that's
Yeah,
just one.
that's why it's even better. Like
Yeah,
to associate them with relegation early in the season. Um, it's immature. It's premature from a lot of people, right? Because look at Everton at the start of this season, how awful they looked. You just don't know what's going to happen in a sport like this, in a league like the Premier League.
yeah, and then they got in. Who did they get in? They got rid of
Allardyce,
Koeman or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, Sam, the big Sam. Yeah, they got him in.
I love it.
Yeah, you've always been a big fan of Sammy.
Every club he's been to, he's rescued them. No coincidence.
Didn't he used to manage West Ham?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's
I, I I like those managers that don't get. Well, he does get credit, right? When you think of teams that are at the bottom, and Sam Allardyce is out of a job, people always think of him like, oh, if anyone is able to pull them out of the relegation zone, it's him.
mm,
But that alone is a massive sort of you know accolade because not every manager can do that. You can have a top manager in a more modest team, and he wouldn't get you out of the relegation zone. But Sam always manages to find a way.
exactly. So, um, how about the tennis, Louis? So Roger Federer
Mm.
got his 20th Grand Slam.
I
That
know we're going to
is
start, yeah, not two hands, not four hands. People,
God.
I think you might add a few more, to be fair, but I just think for me, as a Rafa supporter, right, obviously being a Spaniard, but even for the tennis as a whole, it's starting to get, obviously it's admirable what he's doing, right, Federer, but for the sport itself, it's like, come on, guys, it's about time, Dominic Thiem, these guys sort of make the breakthrough because if this keeps up, I mean, how old is going to be Dominic Thiem before he wins one? And Ruble, all these guys, because yeah, I think Roger has been. Would you call him the most talented? I mean, probably. I've seen better one-handed backhands than his.
Yeah,
Not
definitely.
to say that, not to say that his is bad, but and his backhand slice is the best ever, without question. But
Well,
in
I
terms
think
of
I
like
think
a
yeah. I
yeah,
think overall, I think from my opinion, he's the most talented
yeah, he's
player
a
ever, and probably in most others. But that one-handed backhand you raised is probably been the one real flaw to his game, and
yeah, yeah, but
but it's
because it's so
improved.
yeah, no, yeah, obviously, and when you say it's his weak side, it's still probably pretty good, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but you
fair
don't go
enough.
you don't go to his forehand though, because he has one of the best forehands ever in the
Oh,
game.
especially the inside out
Yeah,
forehand, that one. But no, it's just for me. For me, it's just like I said, it's easier said than done. But some players, hopefully, for the good of the sport, I think, make a breakthrough because not to say that Federer is damaging the sport, right? it would just make it more exciting, right? Wouldn't you just love to see a five setup between Federer and because Chile, like, well, we did see a five setter against Chile, but so disappointing that fifth set. Like, what happened to him there? Like, he looked like he was going to win the match, Chile, on that fourth set. I don't know about you, but
Yeah,
he was
no.
like, yeah, he was cruising there.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that final really could have gone either way. You look at the fifth set and you go to someone who hasn't watched it, 6-1, easy. No. Um, Roger
Yeah,
in that
that
Roger in
first
that
game,
fifth
yeah,
set was facing two break points in that fifth set. Cilic goes up 1-0 in that fifth set. He could have probably ran away with the match.
yeah,
That's
but
just momentum.
well, momentum, mentality, who knows? But it's them things that sort of disappoint me about um, the way in which he won it. Again, I'm not. I respect Roger. Obviously, I don't hate him at all. It's just not who I root for, right? But totally deserved. It's just a shame that when you look at the final score, right? Maybe in 10 years' time, you're like, oh, he won 6-1 that fifth set.
Mm.
It doesn't reflect what actually happened in the match, right? Like that fourth set was crazy, and
Yeah.
Cilic lost all sort of fear. He went for every shot, and who knows? Just I don't. Only he would know what happened to him in that fifth set. Because that
He's
to
really
me is sort
paid.
of.
Yeah, he's really powerful from the baseline, isn't he? Like
I think
there was a
he's.
lot of times where Roger had no answer to what he was doing.
I think he's complete as well, Cilic.
Mm.
He doesn't have the slice, obviously, that Federer has, but he was good at just about everything else. And yeah, that's why I don't get that fifth set again. Um, and then, please, last excuse I want to hear is fatigue. Because if anyone should be tired after five sets, it should be Roger Federer at his age. Um,
36.
yeah, but to his credit, he does look after himself very well. He does make very smart decisions. Like I don't think he might play the French Open this year because he didn't play it last year. But then again, that's tricky because between French Open and Wimbledon, there isn't a huge uh, time gap. But
Mm.
we'll see. He's definitely one of the most clever players ever. Um, in every aspect, how he plays and the decisions, everything. For
He's
me, it's just yeah.
yeah.
I wish there would be a bit more competition and just like the young talent has to come through eventually. Like the pressure really is on them. Like they're just lucky, right? The young players are lucky that when I say this, or I'm not the only one saying this, they're not. Well, Dominic Thiem probably is under a bit of pressure, but we don't just look at Dominic Thiem. We're looking at Nick Kyrgios. We're looking at a whole bunch of dudes. But it's their turn, or it should be.
Oh, do you rate Zverev?
Yeah, him as well. That's what I mean. So all these guys.
Yeah, I mean they've really got to come through, and Zverev, particularly in Grand Slams, hasn't quite broken through. I mean, there's still 3 more Grand Slams to go. Someone who really caught my eye in the Australian Open was what's his name? He played Roger in the semi-final. I'm just gonna have a look. Chung.
Mm.
Chung was really good. He beat Novak. Novak, albeit, had that little bit of a flare up with his elbow. I think with Novak injured, he might have surgery with his elbow. We don't know yet. It really gives opportunities to players, and Novak hasn't. Prior to the Australian Open, I think he's been there for about 6 months on tour.
How bad? Yeah. Well, how bad was the injury of the Korean player? Because what I thought I couldn't watch it. Right. It was early in the morning and stuff. But to me, if it's like your first ever semi-final, even if it's I don't know how painful that must have been for him, but you're not going to get many chances. Um, when you're not Vabrinka, Djokovic, Murray, Nadal, Federer, one of these guys. If you're any other tennis player, I think if you get a chance to go that far into the tournament, look, I tell you who I really admire, right? Halep,
Mm.
because she injured herself in the first week, and she's just like, I'm going to go through this no matter what.
Was a machine, yeah.
yeah. So I don't get why on the men's side, as soon as some of these sort of young or new aspiring players, again, only they know how bad the injuries were, but you're not going to get many chances like this. And I really admired Simona Halep for yeah for the whole tournament. Really, I've always liked her, but um,
Well, she
I
she
even felt she yeah I
after the
even felt
final
she
she
should have
went
won
to
the final.
hospital. She went to hospital after the final because of dehydration. It was that hot in Melbourne. Or like even for me, right? Well, it was how hot it was, but it was the humidity as well. And the humidity was really like I couldn't really sleep in my bedroom sometimes. I slept in the kitchen, air conditioner on, whatever.
Jesus,
Yeah, because
wow.
it was that humid.
I can't really fault David Ferrer because he's been to latter stages of tournaments, and I think he's given it his all. I think
He's a
what
warrior.
hasn't, yeah, what hasn't helped him is his size. He's always been a very, a lot shorter compared to his opponents, and believe it or not, well, but you would know, uh, taller players often have better serves because you get more strength from your more power from your legs. But I can respect and I have no problems with Ferrer because I know he always gives it 100%. I don't. I think some players haven't sometimes. And Wozniacki looks like she got her act together for this Grand Slam and did well.
Yeah, I think that can be an issue. Not giving it 100%. I mean, the prime example of that, Tomic. Have you heard all the stuff that he's been saying recently?
I'd rather not, to be honest. But go on. Yeah.
Well, it's just ridiculous, man. Like he recently, I think in the qualifiers for the Australian Open, he had to go
Oh
through the
yeah, he
qualifiers,
lost,
lost the
didn't he?
first round. Yeah, didn't have a good attitude after the game, and he went on a TV show recently. He quit, saying that um, he's depressed or something, and like he quit the TV show a few days in or whatever. And I mean, it's just kind of a bit of a mess. And like, do you want a player, um, you know, like that? Like, I mean, he's got a long way to come back from. If he really wants to be the player
Yeah,
that his
yeah.
potential says
That's
he
what I
can
mean.
be.
Like there are players that sometimes you wonder how did you even make it to that level if you then behave like a you know like a fool because that mindset is like you did not have that mindset, Tomic, to get to where you have, right? That's he's lost it now. That he's made it to wherever he is in the number in the ranking, which is a very good ranking. Because we often underestimate players that make it in the top 50 ranks and stuff like he's not that good. Well, he is good. um, there are a lot of tennis players out there, and to be ranked in the top 50 alone is an awesome achievement. But some players just lose the hunger. That's what I don't get. Like if I was there, I would dream of more, right? Of more and more success, especially when you have players like Nadal, Federer, Djokovic. Like, honestly, if that doesn't inspire you, um, push you to do better, then what does?
Yeah. You know what I find really incredible? Like the 20th Grand Slam and all that is great. And I think the fact that Roger's doing it at his age, like, I mean, he's really set the tone. I think he provides inspiration to Rafa Nadal and Novak Djokovic, the fact that he's performing at this consistently high level at his age, something that Novak and Rafa can aspire to do.
Yeah, it's well, Rafa, I've believed for a few years now that he will have to change his game or his mindset more than his game. I don't think it'll be hard for him to change his game, but just his mindset. Like I see him sometimes run for balls like for on a rally, and it's like, do you really need to do that, Rafa? Come on, just give up 1 point, Rafa. Come
Yeah.
on, it's not the end of the world. You go down 15 love, it's okay. But he's got that mindset of running for every ball, and look, it's something to admire, right? But it's probably cost him. he said it himself. It's like these injuries have cost me maybe a few Grand Slams, but
Yeah.
look, he'll go down in history as well, right? In his own way. He will probably be the biggest fighter ever on a tennis court. And that is, yeah, that's something great to be remembered for, right? I don't think he, you and I talk about it, about the number of Grand Slams, but they've won so much. I don't think they care, either of them, to be honest. They just enjoy every time they get an opportunity, they just go out and play and
Mm.
try and make the fans happy, obviously.
Yeah, I tell you what I think Roger cares about though is beating Rafa Nadal in the Grand Slam count. Because if you think about it head to head, even though Roger's won the last 4 or 5 or whatever, the Grand Slam count is like, I mean, the head to head count is 23-15, I think, Rafa's favor.
Mm.
And then in the Grand Slam total, it's 16-20. You know, that 5-setter in the Australian Open they had, the last Grand Slam final, they played against each other. It was a 5-setter. Rafa could have gone a break up in the 5th set. Or actually, he did go a break up, and then Roger, came back from behind. That was a terrific win. But had Rafa won that match, the Grand Slam count would have read 15-17 instead of 14-18 or 15. I don't know if I'm getting 14-18 or something. Yeah. So, I
But
mean, if
yeah,
that
but
had
even if
happened, he's so close.
yeah, but even if Rafa surpassed Federer, I think even I admit it, like the complete package is Roger, right? And I think yeah, accolades and achievements are very important, right? For an athlete to be remembered. But I think this goes down in any sport. Like I think that top athletes, you don't really remember them by how many trophies and stuff they win. That you just remember them by there's something about them that makes them different from the rest. And Federer, you're going to remember him for just being the complete package, elegance on the court, right? And Rafa is going to be remembered for being like the biggest fighter, running for every ball. If he hadn't won as many Grand Slams, people wouldn't even remember him for his um, playing style, right? That's true. But because he's won that many, I think it's gotten to the point that yeah, of course they want to win more, but it's not going to affect their legacy anymore, right? Like the legacy is already there from both of them, and it's massive.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? There's this interview with players, like it's been some years ago though that they've done this interview, and David Ferrer, who we've been speaking about, he said the hardest opponent he's ever played against was Roger Federer. And then there's obviously different opinions given by each player, but I get that's really dependent though on the style
Yeah,
that
exactly. Because Murray
yeah.
said Rafa, so it all depends.
Who said Rafa?
Murray.
Yeah, Murray. Yeah, I think I was gonna. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I wasn't sure if that was the case. Yeah, see, Murray's done well against Roger on occasions, but against Nadal, he's had some difficulty. You know what? Like, you look at Novak, right, and the amount of success he's achieved. He has a better head-to-head record against Nadal and Federer.
Yeah,
The one-
and he probably won't go down in history, as well known as Rafa and Roger because he probably arrived a little bit late in the scene, right?
Mm.
The other two have been doing it for so long that it's just been unlucky and unfair on the rest of them. But nonetheless, you have to appreciate all these players because without them, Rafa and Roger wouldn't have worked as hard as they have, right? I think that's something you should like. Even if you don't win, you should. I think you should appreciate whenever like you're being told by a great, like you pushed me to be better and stuff because like when Djokovic was dominating, we all thought that was over. And then look, they've now it's like back to good old days. Like, oh, look who's at the top again, the same old two. But yeah, I think I appreciate most of the players. For me, it's the new youth that's coming through that has to step it up. Like the generation we've seen, the Murrays, the Brinkers, the Potros, all that. for me, some of them will be remembered as well for a long time. Um, Murray, Djokovic probably being them two, the main ones, apart from Nadal and Roger. But for me, it's the new guys that sort of have to step it up.
Yeah, I think especially now, like there's some real opportunities available. We'll see how Chung goes, whether he can keep up his Australian Open form. And with Novak, like you've said it before, Lewis, on this show, but his period of dominance,
I
I
thought it
don't
was
think we've
over.
seen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was scared.
yeah, even better than Rogers and Ruffers. Like that period of dominance where he was just beating everyone. He beat Roger twice at Wimbledon. Um, I think it was back-to-back years he did that too. Um, and he was beating Rafa on clay quite consistently, apart from Roland Garros. So, you know, there's that element to it. I think Novak's just an incredible player, baseline player, good on the backhand, well, great on the backhand, like awesome backhand, great
Yeah.
forehand. Uh,
Again, he's like a way better improved version of Cilic, um, with a slice even closer to Federer's. But every other aspect of his game, it's like, where's the weakness? Like he couldn't find his mobility, everything.
yeah, his return of serve, Agassi,
Oh,
like he's got Agassi as like a
yeah.
coach.
Look, him and Murray are the kings of like returns. So when we
Mm.
talk about complete players and stuff, that those two changed like the split step. When you notice the split steps before players return the ball, Murray started that. And yeah, Djokovic was a great returner. So no, it's there are a lot of players that deserve credit in their own way, and some of them are reflected with more Grand Slam titles, and others not as many. But
Yeah. So but the split step is present in almost every tennis shot, isn't it? Like to prepare you for the ball. But with the serve, can that be less frequent because of the reaction time you have?
I think it was sort of always used the split step, but Murray was one of the first few players like at the top level to use it, and it was just really strange because it's like well, how because he made the split step just before the server made contact with the ball, and it's like wow, that reaction time to go from the split step to then set yourself, and
Mm.
believe it or not, it actually does help because like but when you practice it so often, you do it instantaneously, spontaneously, right? You just do the split step and return. Um, and Murray put that into just made that everyone copied him on tour now, if you notice it. So yeah, he's just been unlucky that he's had some incredible competition in his era, but he's won three, so he should be and the gold medal, so he should be proud of it.
Well, he beat Federer for the gold medal.
Mm.
I mean that's one thing that Federer doesn't have. He has a gold medal from doubles. I think it was in Beijing with
Look,
Wawrinka.
it's like when we Spaniards dreamt of Rafa being undefeated at Roland Garros, right? And now he's
Mm.
not. And it's like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
when you look back on it now, it's like he's still the king of clay. So, before that first defeat, right, and even after, because he came back and won a few more, you're just like, who else is going to do that? So every player has its own sort of story, and I think them four, I think Murray deserves to be in that category. Some people sometimes want to like push Murray out of there. I'm like, you've
Mm.
got no clue. Like his return again, that split step, he started it, and the other players followed.
Do you reckon though that gold medal in singles matters a lot with Roger, or because he's already won a gold medal in doubles?
I mean, Rafa didn't play the Olympics, I believe, or he lost, or yeah, I think didn't he win bronze? Uh
Oh, hang on, I
I
thought
mean,
Rafa had already won a gold medal in the Olympics. Maybe I'm wrong there.
yeah, no, so yeah, but Murray won the 2012 one at
Mhm.
home soil. Rafa won in 2008 in Beijing, and I believe he was injured in
Uh-huh.
2012. But look, for Murray, it's a special moment. I don't think he cares, to be honest,
Mhm.
to beat the goat in your homeland. Um, yeah, no, he doesn't come around every year, the Olympics. So no, it's a special moment.
But that's the one thing Roger's missing. Like that's the singles gold medal. He hasn't like obviously
Well,
people will still remember him as the GOAT. Like even if he doesn't win it, but um I guess he's got that doubles medal to compensate. Like he actually won the gold.
look, well, sometimes it's even better if you haven't completed your resume because there's extra motivation, right? If
Yeah.
he really wants it, he'll play in Tokyo in 2 years, right? It's not that
Mm.
far off when you think about it. But nah, he's not. He doesn't depend on that to go down as one of the greatest. That's for sure. There are players, right, in football as well that have won everything, and you don't associate them with being the greatest.
That's a
So I
good
mean,
point. Yeah.
so accolades are. I think accolades are sort of like a requirement for you to be in the conversation of you're one of the greats, but it's
Mm.
not. That's not the only argument by any means. You also got to talk about your game and all that. And I think, yeah, look, he's not won the gold medal, but so what? To be honest, like he's done everything else, and his game is almost flawless if it isn't already. So
Yeah, I think it's just remarkable at his age. Like I just keep on going on about it, but it really is astonishing that he's got. We've been talking about games like Rafa's game. Really impacts on him in an injury sense. Like he's got, I
mm,
think I don't know if he's still got the tendonitis in his knees, but there's the general injury concerns and Roger, he's always had kind of like a back kind of issue, but he's managed it well. And his game is not as impactful as, Rafa's game where he runs the most, but he's got that sense of, you know, knowing how to run for each ball and
it's
his
just
movement, elegance. Yeah.
it's just very hard to put it into numbers when you talk about that stuff. You know what I mean? Because the human body is unique, each one of us, and maybe Rafa's game style uh, practiced by another player would have worked out better with less injuries for that player or worse. You'll
Mm.
just never know, right? So it's what it is. I do think Rafa will have to, hopefully, if he wants to play longer, change a little bit. But I think he's also been unlucky. Like some injuries come and go, right? Some of them you just can't. Um, you don't know when they're going to happen. And also, like for instance, also medicine and all that, physiotherapists have a lot to do with the success of all these players. If these players got these injuries a few decades back, we would have missed out on all these comebacks.
Mm.
So you have to put it all into context, right?
Yeah, but there's also that thing of as medicine, the power of medicine increases, the tenacity and willingness of players to return
Yeah, to do
quickly.
better. But
Well,
isn't
yeah, to
that?
do
But
better,
isn't
but
that?
to return, but players can return too quickly and then re-injure
Mm,
as well.
yeah, but that's not always their. Well, I don't. In a sport like tennis, I think it's barely their decision because they trust their team.
Hmm.
It's not like Rafa decides when he comes back. His physio would tell him, or whoever, his doctor. And in fact, they always talk a lot about their doctors, tennis players in their press conferences. So instead of maybe blaming Rafa, we could blame his doctor for getting all these injuries. But no, just kidding. But it's very hard, still very hard. and a lot has been done and a lot has been sort of improved over the years. But I'm confident, there will be less injuries in the future or quicker recoveries. It's just time. It takes time.
Exactly. Yeah, injuries take time, and I think Rafa has been a little bit unlucky, but I'm also a believer in the sense that Rafa's game, although highly successful, has a consequence of that has been the injuries. I think he
Yeah,
made the comment once that clay tends to suit his body more in terms of a recovering sense, but that might be for most players that clay is better than I think it was the comparison of clay to hard court. Um,
yeah, it'll probably be for most players to be fair. But look, the thing with Rafa is, yeah, it's cost him Grand Slam, but it's also won him 15. So I
16.
think that, or 16, yeah, I've lost count now. But so yeah, what did I say? 15, 16. So all in all, it's worth it. I mean, if you were offered that, right? Hindsight is a beautiful thing, but if you were offered to win 16 Grand Slams and miss out on two or three, I think all of us would have accepted that offer on the table before beginning the adventure. So yeah, it's
Mm.
costing a few Grand Slams titles here and there, but he's a legend to us. And in a way, I can't wait till he retires just to see how it sinks in on our country because we deserve us. We've always been like a football country, right? But sometimes we don't appreciate, I don't think, other sports as much as we should. That's just me talking
Mm.
from my country. And honestly, if you don't admire what Rafa has done, then it doesn't inspire you or make you want to build a statue for him, a museum, anything, because he deserves everything he gets. He will deserve, but
We'll name a
it
Grand
probably won't
Slam
be enough.
after him. Rename Roland Garros to I don't know something to do with Nadal, and then
Yeah, but I
rename
mean that's a
something to do with
French
Federer.
tournament to be fair. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, I'm talking about like Spain. Like in a way, I think that would be like a beautiful moment, and it's like with I don't know, dude. Like Kobe Bryant doesn't play anymore, right? And I look back at it and it's like, wow, like it's like that's when it's kind of beautiful in a way, right? It makes you appreciate things more.
Mm.
Like probably when Roger Federer retires, you're gonna cry. Like I put my money on it, but um, it'll be like a good moment. You know what I mean? Like that's life, dude. Comes and goes, but um, hopefully in Spain that will happen with Rafa. I think it will.
No
I
doubt.
think it will because he's just yeah he's put out like we've had good players in the past, right? And we've had Grand Slam winners in the past, but nowhere near what Rafa has done. Like he's but every other player we've had is a shadow, well, not even a shadow of what Rafa has done. And the amount of the Australian Open, right? No, the US Open, for instance, I think it's at like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. local time here, and the whole country wakes up to watch him play. Same with the
Mm.
Australian Open. It's like and you wake up for those moments, and it's like, nah, he deserves all the accolades he deserves after he retires.
Yeah. Do you reckon one of Rafa's we've been talking about, how, Roger has almost like a flawless game, or if not the flawless game, and then you have Rafa who's got a very flawless game also. Would you say one of the weaknesses of Rafa's game, if you can call it weakness, is his serve?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
ability to
definitely.
not get it as many free points as some others.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, again, he would know how hard he works on that, right? Um, but I think his body. Look, I think the thing with Rafa is I believe he's left-footed. Like his good foot is his left foot, I believe. But either way, he reminds me a lot of my brother. He's so one-sided. Like you compare his forehand with his backhand, and it's so different, right? In terms of um, you look at most players. I look at most players on the circuit, on the ATP tour, and it's like I don't see a huge difference. Like I see them, okay, most of them their forehand is better, but I don't think they have a bad, a poor backhand. While with Rafa, it's not like he has a bad backhand. It's just that his forehand, it's like we've never seen anything like it. That's why we tend to think they have weaknesses, and they do. Obviously, they do. But with these players, they're so great because they have their own persona. They have their own sort of they have this thing that makes them different from the rest. And with Rafa, it's that fighting spirit, it's that running backhand, it's those passing shots. With Federer, it's that inside out forehand. Yeah, these players, that's why they're unique. They have it happens in every sport. The players you will remember in the history books, they had a trait that others didn't, and that's what made them great.
Yeah, definitely. I just think it's the golden era of tennis.
Oh, no
Roger,
doubt.
Novak, Nadal.
And you
I think
only appreciate it when, like I said, you only appreciate it when all of that is gone, right?
we'll see what we're really
I
missing
mean, we
once.
appreciate it already, but some people don't.
Well, like even the game of tennis, right? I'm actually not a
But yeah,
huge fan of tennis as because, um, I'm not one of those people that can really watch like a tennis match between, say, a Chung and a Zverev. Like I'm more kind of about the legacies of the tennis players, and watching Roger is always great, and if not nearly, and seeing Rafa and Novak and just seeing the great tennis players, and once all that's gone, I can imagine my tennis appreciation just going down a little bit because you just see that golden era fading away.
no,
like I
I think more than appreciation, because it's happening to me with, again, Kobe Bryant not playing anymore.
Yeah.
Did I mention like I woke up at 3 a.m. to watch his final game, local time, and at the end of the coverage, for one reason, the broadcasters, they like put footage of the game right as they were closing the event, and they put on the background that song by U2, One,
Mm.
and I honestly cried. My mom saw me, like she woke up because the game finished at like 6, 7 a.m. And she's like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "You don't understand, mom. Just leave me alone." It's
Well,
like that's what's that.
so
It's just irreplaceable, dude.
yeah, it's a
That
legend.
I don't think it's not really. I don't think it's really appreciated. Look, even I think you'll even appreciate more the sport or the game. It's just you'll be desperate to find that next person, which is what I am now. Like for me, I look at basketball players now and I pick out a few and I'm like, yeah, they remind me of Kobe, but they're not the Kobe. But then I think to myself, well, there's never going to be another Kobe, so why do you even bother looking for him? But
Yeah. Well,
it's
as
just
Dr.
funny.
Seuss, as Dr. Seuss once said, "Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened."
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I actually love the game more now when the players are gone.
It's really
Of
interesting.
course, you're desperate.
Yeah.
Of course, you're desperate to find that next guy, but that keeps you intrigued in itself because you're like, wow, I might watch a random game, a random tennis match, and one day you might look at this young guy and he'll impress you and you'll start following him again.
Exactly. Um,
So it's finding that player, that athlete.
and that's why there's that emphasis on the young players really coming through. And I think this year in particular, more than other years, is really going to be, can they actually do it? Um,
Well, yeah, I had that feeling last year, to be
yeah,
honest, but we'll just have to wait
just have to wait and see.
because
Um,
you hear the legends, right? Like McEnroe, Mats Wilander. These guys are not nobodies. They've won 8 Grand Slams, and last year that's basically they were saying because it was 2 Grand Slams Federer, 2 Grand Slams Nadal, and they're like, well, you know, how many more before we see a breakthrough. But yeah, patience. Although you get to enjoy it at the same time, right? Because you're happy for the veterans. But it's what it is.
Well, exactly, and the fact that Novak, Roger, and Nadal are veterans, and they're still doing well. I mean, I want to see Novak get back to playing really well. I think it's just injury really that's preventing him from showing that. I really hope that he gets on top of that, and whether he has surgery or not, have to wait and see. I just think Novak can just be underestimated. He's got better head-to-head records against Nadal and Federer. He's got the 12 Grand
But that would just be, you'll just have to put that into the context of he came late into the scene. It's like whoever beat Nadal and Federer again now in the present time, we would be like, oh wow, he's done it. But we would forget about that in a couple of months because they have dominated the sport for so long. You can't break a legacy. Well, it's not like breaking a legacy, but you're not going to stop dominance in one match, right? To stop them, you have to beat them consistently.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. Or either just let them retire and wait for your turn, which is probably an easier job.
Yeah.
But no. I mean, look, when you look at the number of Grand Slams won, Djokovic will be not too far down the list. He's like, isn't he only behind Sampras, I believe?
Um, yeah, I think Sampras won
Yeah.
14, didn't he? I think Novak's won
So
12.
Djokovic is either one or two players behind him, or right behind him. So he's in the history books as well.
I mean, he could retire right now and have a really great legacy on the sport of tennis, but I still think there's quite a bit to go. I think Novak's got a few more Grand Slams in him, maybe even more than that. He needs to get on top of his injury, though. That's really key.
Exactly. It's better for him to just take more time now and come back,
Well, yeah, his serve is compromised. I don't know if you noticed, but he made a change with his serve, I think due to the elbow injury. And I mean, Novak's serve has improved over time. Hang on, I'm just reading a report from the Indian Express. Novak Djokovic undergoes surgery on his hand, so it's not talking about the elbow. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know he had a problem with his hand.
Dude, that's unfortunate.
So the report says that the 30-year-old has undergone a surgery on his hand. I don't know where the Indian Express has exactly got that from. But
I think for him, he would probably aim to be back well for Wimbledon because his style.
I wonder if that's true or not. I'm not sure if that's. Yeah, well, that's what I'm reading. So,
The thing is, though, his style of game is so flat that when you hit a flat ball into the grass, that's not going to bounce back up a lot. So, I think he would not be in a rush to come back for the French Open. I'd rather come back because that period between Roland Garros and Wimbledon, it's not a lot of time at all to recover. And if you make it, through the late rounds of the French Open, that's kind of like it's like two Grand Slams in a space of a month and a half.
Wow.
2 months. It's always been like that, so it's challenging.
Well, that's really taxing on the body because not only do you have that short period of time, but then the ability to adjust to the surface is key as well. Going from Novak's game, he's been one of these players that has done well on all four surfaces. You know what I mean? Like I in terms of surfaces, like this might be contentious, but I reckon even more so than Rafa and Federer, he's actually been. I'm not talking about the complete package as a player, but I don't think Novak actually has a weakness on any surface at all. I reckon his game is accustomed to basically every surface there is: grass, hard court, uh, what's the other one? Clay. And he's proven that with victories over Rafa and Clay. I don't know if you agree with that. All right, so I think we just had some technical difficulties. I'll get Lewis back on the line. Sometimes when you're overseas, internet connections, this can definitely happen. So make sure we can get him back. And I think we were talking about Novak and Roger and Federer, the trio. An amazing trio they've been in the world of tennis. When you think about, they say Roger's the greatest, but you look at what Rafa has done and what Novak's done. And Novak has a better head-to-head record than both players. Okay, he's back on. I think, I was just saying, Lewis, that, it's probably just, I mean, the stream's gone really well. So it's just that little bit there. It's good that you're back in, though.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. So I think we were talking about Roger, Rafa, and Novak. I was just saying that I think Novak has, a game that's really accustomed to all four or all three, whatever surfaces: grass, clay, hard court.
Yeah, agreed.
Whereas someone like Rafa, sometimes he struggles a little bit on grass.
But the thing people don't realize again about athletes in general. I don't think is how early you have to start um, in order to get to the top. Right, the sacrifices you have to make so early on in your life when you're a kid. Really, sometimes you don't even make. Like Rafa didn't choose to play tennis. Uncle Tony put a racket on his hand. So it's just, and also, didn't I believe that Rafa writes with his right hand? And
Yeah,
he's a
isn't he
left-handed player.
ambidextrous? Or
Yeah, so take that into account, people. That's not something you see every day. It's like if you told me Roger wrote with his left hand and then play his right hand. It's like it's just yeah. So all those things people don't take into account, right? And he started off so young. Um, Novak, Roger, all these guys, and that's why they are what they are, right? Because of all the sacrifices. So that you have to value a hell of a lot. because people sometimes think you can start whenever, and oh yeah, if it took you all this hard work and I won't necessarily need as much time or effort to get there. And it's like, mate, I don't think that even when players talk about all these sacrifice, I don't even think they want to brag about it. It's like, no, it's the harsh reality. You just can't cope with everything, you know. If you want to do something, you got to commit to it.
Mm. No, I agree. I think that's, we've been talking about that commitment and how that's very important across multiple sports, especially with the amount of money in EPL. And as we were talking about before,
I saw this documentary, yeah, because it just off the top of my head, I watched it, and it's like top clubs recruiting 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, um, and like kids, what, just over 10 years old, getting offered professional contracts with like, or no, 16-year-olds, like when by the time you become an adult, an 18-year-old, we promise you'll get this contract with this much money per week and all that. And it's like, it's just that there's so much competition out there, and you have to be obviously aware by yourself, and also have good, like, responsible people around you that protect you, because those decisions are like vital, if you want to start a professional career so early on.
what's the
But I mean,
documentary called?
yeah, you would like it actually. Um, oh, gee, I'm gonna try and. I mean, if I type in adjectives of the documentary, it will probably pop up. Um, mm, oh, I mean, BT Sport something.
Mm-hmm.
Look it up right now. No, Hunger in Paradise.
Sounds interesting. Yeah.
That's what it's called, and it goes for about an hour and 15 minutes, I believe. And yeah, I was pretty astounded, honestly. Steven Gerrard is on it, a few other former players, and yeah, basically they're just like, I mean, there's nothing you can do about how much you're being offered, but you can do, you can choose to accept it or not to accept it, and obviously how you deal with it once you accept it. It's like how you cope with the defeats, the pressure, all that, the highs, the lows. I mean, yeah, it's intriguing to watch.
Absolutely. Sounds very interesting. I'm
You
sure.
can probably find it on the internet somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll try and look it up
See.
for you.
Yeah. That sounds very interesting indeed. I mean, you're talking about like, players under the age of 18. So before that, they're, really adults. They're getting offered these huge contracts, life-changing contracts. Can they really make that type of decision? I mean, I guess if all you wanted to be was a professional footballer, it's kind of cool, isn't it? Because you get that platform already, right? But
Look,
then
I
again,
mean,
there's
it's down to
pressure.
maturity,
Yeah.
and also, yeah, but it's also, I don't. Sometimes it's not really age; it's maturity, right? Like some guys that before they are 18-year-olds are more mature than guys who are older than 18 years of age. So it depends, but yeah, I mean, there are certain scenarios in that documentary that you're just like, how is a club doing this? But that's where independent organizations come in, agents, parents. So I mean, you just have to reach sort of a mutual agreement, right? If you're desperate for a player, I understand the club offering, you know, big wages and all that, but you have to reach sort of an agreement. It can't just be, splash the cash and because then you live in a bubble. That's also mentioned in the documentary. You start to live in a bubble that's got nothing to do with reality.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, the maturity. I think that's a big one. Maturity, but we're talking about like kids, though, Lewis, that parents would be heavily involved. So, if they're making a commitment to a big professional contract, that also has I would imagine, an impact on their education. But I guess it's like an actor or an actress, before the age of 18, despite the success that can come from that, there's also sacrifices that have to be made at such an early age. And I mean, I might not even be equipped to, go away from my family for, under the age of 18.
But that's where the adults come into play, and sometimes adults get carried away very easily with what they're being offered, because